Shadow here. Today I am here to correct history. Spoiler warning. Now if you grew up with Dragon Ball Z you might think it introduced the first Super Saiyan, but Dragon Ball Z did not. That honor belongs to a cult classic movie, The Last Dragon. A case can be made for two characters in that movie, but I am going to use the main character Leroy Green since we have more information about him than his rival Sho'nuff. I will explain to you how and why Leroy is the first Super Saiyan. The Last Dragon is one of the greatest martial arts movies ever. I can't even speak enough about the greatness of this movie. Now by today's standards, most wouldn't see what is so special about this movie. This generation would probably call it cheesy and cringe, but they just don't know, son. The Last Dragon is really one of those things where you had to be there to understand. Those of us from that era will understand what I'm talking about. This movie changed lives. It has everything. It's an action, drama, comedy, musical, fantasy, and more. You really can't put this movie into one category. The movie shows you why the 80s were so great. The Last Dragon displays some of the coolest things from that era. I mean, a kung fu movie, with a Motown soundtrack. How could it not be anything else but awesome? The Last Dragon is the definition of what a cult classic is. An epic battle of good versus evil. Bruce Leroy was the Goku before Goku became the legend we know today. Similarly to Goku, Leroy's purpose in life is to surpass his limits and reach the ultimate level, the glow. I don't care what anyone says, the glow is the Super Saiyan form. It's just like it, you get a massive power increase, and a golden aura, just like Super Saiyan. Also, the requirement for reaching the glow state is similar to the way Super Saiyan is reached. Let's go over the requirements to reach Super Saiyan in the glow. Intense training, check. Push past limits, check. The power comes from a need, not a desire, check.
I agree with you, Shadow, on almost everything you said, except for it was the first Super Saiyan in The Last Dragon. Leroy was not the first, it was Sho'nuff. The Shogun of Harlem is one of the greatest villains of all time. Sho'nuff is so over the top it's pure comedy. Now this is a villain, the man is just badass. The thing about Sho'nuff as a character is, that when he's trying to be serious it be some of the most hilarious scenes without him even trying. Sho'nuff is the main reason this movie is an all-time classic. How can you have a character that looks so intimidating and at the same time so goofy? Sho'nuff has so many iconic lines, that will have you laughing so hard. The funny thing about Sho'nuff's character is when you were a kid, he seemed evil and scary, but as I got older I realized the guy is freaking awesome. And about the Super Saiyan thing, I think it is more of a case for Sho'nuff being the first to reach Super Saiyan in the movie. Sho'nuff is like Vegeta. While Leroy was out there going to the movies, and going out on dates, the Shogun of Harlem was out there putting in work. Fighting against everyone he came across, growing stronger and stronger. Sho'nuff earned his Super Saiyan status. This man Sho'nuff ran the fate on an entire movie theater. How much of a beast do you have to be to call out 50 people in a movie theater and then proceed to beat the crap out of all of them? You would have to be a Super Saiyan to do a feat like that. I'm just saying, no disrespect to Leroy, but Sho'nuff is the true Super Saiyan of the movie. Shadow, do you think Leroy can run a fate on a movie theater? Sho'nuff was ready to throw hands with anyone. Leroy was mostly just talking. He didn't want any smoke with Sho'nuff. Like Sho'nuff said, Leroy made a name for himself when Sho'nuff was gone from Harlem. But the Shogun of Harlem is back and he's the master.
You both are right about the Last Dragon having the first Super Saiyan. The power of the glow, the legendary form, is only supposed to be a myth. Does that sound familiar? Well, we can call it the Hood Super Saiyan. This movie has so much in common with Dragon Ball. I like to consider the glow to be the prelude to Super Saiyan. The Last Dragon is just pure epic. The build-up to Bruce Leroy vs Sho'nuff was like Goku vs Frieza. The whole cast of characters is great. You got the mobster-like crime lord and airhead girlfriend, the super hot female singer love interest, the wannabe kung fu fighter best friend, the prodigy little kid, and the overly serious and emotional little brother. This movie has everything. The Last Dragon is crazy good. It will have you ready to fight 1 minute and ready to start dancing the next. The Last Dragon embodies the 80s. Watching The Last Dragon is like using a time machine. You are teleported back to that era. The soundtrack alone is reason enough to watch this movie. I still have a lot of the songs on my playlist. That's not surprising, because the 80s is the greatest era of music. The glow is absolutely the Super Saiyan form. The build-up to the glow throughout the movie is just as intense as the build-up was for Goku turning Super Saiyan. The epic final battle in the movie delivers on so many levels. Our hero spends most of the movie searching for the answer to unlock this legendary form. Like Super Saiyan, just training hard will not unlock this power. Our hero has reached the peak of his body and skill, but there is still something missing. He has reached the highest level in martial arts, but he still can't understand why he can't reach the glow form. Now that I think about it, Leroy is more Gohan than Goku. If you have seen the movie, you'll understand what I mean. Regardless, if he's more Goku or Gohan, Leroy belongs in that family, son Bruce Leroy. But the question of who is the first Super Saiyan in the movie is up for debate. You have a case for both of them. The real question is, did they already have the glow pre-fight, or did they get it post-fight? It seems to me they both gained the ability during their final battle. Sho'nuff was the first to display the power, but it was hinted at throughout the movie that Leroy may have used the ability before unknowingly.
The advantage clearly goes to Sho'nuff. It makes more sense that he already had the glow. That is why he was probably so confident about fighting Leroy. He was sure he would have been able to beat Leroy because he already knew the glow form. Leroy probably sensed that Sho'nuff had reached master level, which explains why he was so afraid to fight Sho'nuff for the whole movie. Think about it. When Sho'nuff showed the glow in their final battle, Sho'nuff was not surprised by it. It was like he already used the form before. If that was the first time Sho'nuff was using the glow, don't you think he would have acted more shocked? He must have already practiced using the ability, that's why he was able to fight so well. Leroy was the one who was shocked. So he didn't have the ability at that moment. Sho'nuff was the true master of the movie. He was ready to prove it anytime. Leroy needed so much help from other people. Leroy knew Sho'nuff would wreck him in a fight. Leroy was ready to fight everyone else but Sho'nuff. And before you make an argument that Leroy only fights in self-defense, he attacks the fortune teller workers. He had no issue beating up Eddie's henchmen. In their final fight, Sho'nuff was dominating, even before he got the glow. Let's face it, Leroy didn't want no smoke with Sho'nuff. In the words of the man himself, "Kiss my Converse."
Subscriber 84, you are making some good points. Sho'nuff was able to use the ability easily. If he did already have the glow, it would explain how he was able to do some of his feats earlier in the movie. But on the other hand, Leroy has a lot of feats as well. Leroy was throwing hands all throughout the movie. I think there may be no way to tell who had the glow first. Both had great moments and evidence to back up both cases. I can't agree that Leroy was afraid, it seemed more like he didn't want to be a hypocrite to his students. He was able to beat up Sho'nuff's top goons pretty easily. So I think they are about even.
You talk about Sho'nuff running the fade on 50 bums in a movie theater. Leroy ran the fade on the toughest thugs in the city. Dominating. What fight were you watching? It was more even. Leroy had the glow all along, he just didn't know it. How else do you think all those rumors about him catching bullets with his teeth came about? For him to be able to do that, he would have to be using the glow. Leroy was not afraid of Sho'nuff, he just held to his tradition. Those fortune teller workers stole his medal. When every time Sho'nuff ran up on him, Leroy never flinched. Leroy was the true master, the true Super Saiyan of the movie. That's why Sho'nuff wanted to fight Leroy so badly, he needed to prove it to himself. He really wasn't sure he could beat Leroy. Sho'nuff is like Vegeta, always one step behind Goku. His goons even said that Leroy was the only guy who stood between Sho'nuff and total supremacy. It is clear that everyone already ranks Leroy number 1. If Goku's Saiyan pod would have landed in the hood, he would be Leroy. Sho'nuff didn't have the true glow, his was more like false Super Saiyan. What do some of you think? Was the glow the hood Super Saiyan, and who do you think was the first one to achieve it in the movie? Put it in the comments. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. It's back to the shadows. Thanks for watching.